Joining us now, Republican strategist and chairman of the Fort Bend County Republican Party, Bobby Eberle. Bobby, great to have you with us this morning. So most jobs, as we just said, they need to answer to their bosses. They might have those quarterly meetings talking about productivity. It makes sense to force employees to explain why they're important, why they're vital to the workforce, and what they do on a daily basis. But here we have all of these federal employees, Bobby. They're hitting the panic button. Why?
Well, that's for sure. And good morning, Mark and Charlotte. But yeah, this reminds me of, Office Space with the two Bobs.
What would you say
they have to come in and justify doing their job. And it's like, this is what you do in the private sector. You have to be productive. You have to have timelines. You need to meet deadlines, and you have to, turn a profit in the private sector. And this is all so foreign to government. I worked in government for 12 years in the space program, and I know the pace. I know the lack of milestones in all of this. So to get people on their toes to justify their work, I think is a normal suggestion, a normal requirement. But you put normal with the federal government, and it just does not mix at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's the surprise, is that they're shocked that they're being asked to justify their own jobs. They believe their job is basically for them. Now, this is not going to apply seemingly to everyone. Some agencies, including the FBI, are instructing their workers, not to reply to the email today. And I get it, Bobby. Some of the media are trying to paint this as tension between Musk and others. But I looked at it as, I don't want FBI agents telling me the 5 people they investigated last week until it becomes time for you to know what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? This is the thing. It's like you watch the Sunday shows or you see some of these other reports, and the media are looking for anything. It's like, oh, yeah, we really do. I mean, everyone wants to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, they never cover it, but they sure will cover any kind of, perceived friction just to make a story, just to drive that wedge, just to see if we can chip away at the poll numbers, anything to bring down Trump and Elon Musk and the whole lineup, this all-star lineup that he has. But the thing is, this is what the American people wanted, and he's delivering. So, if it ruffles some feathers, Trump said, be aggressive, Elon, with DOGE, be aggressive, go after this. And if they, make some course corrections along the way, so be it. But the thing is that they are doing what the American people wanted. The left, the Democrats, the media, they just don't know how to respond.
Yeah, and as we know, the pink slips keep coming. The layoffs continue. Again, some more might be laid off if they don't respond to that email. But then we know that just before midnight, the Trump administration also eliminating more than 1,500 jobs at USAID as, again, DOGE continues to uncover wasteful spending and possible fraud. We've heard Caroline Leavitt go on and on. She has the receipts about everything that our taxpayer dollars have been paying for overseas. And I think the American people are hearing this and they're saying enough.
Yes, and I love these press briefings, right? I mean, don't you guys love it? They sit there and they try and pick, and the media's there so smug, and she just brings out basically the receipts, the invoices. Here's what we paid for, and it's outrageous. Here's what we paid for, and it's stupid. Justify that. And the media then are silent. They don't cover that story. Like, I mean, to me, as a media person, I would think that, hey, you want good television, you want good stories for your viewers or your readers or listeners, and these make good stories to uncover this waste, fraud, and abuse. But I think that's the TDS, right? That's the Trump derangement syndrome is set in so much that they forget to do their jobs and forget what people might be interested in and really report the news.
Yeah,
as you and I both know, Bobby, every president going back to at least Bill Clinton has said, I'm going to cut government waste. I'm going to cut government fraud. It was a great news conference, and it made all the headlines, but no one actually followed up to see if you actually did something. Donald Trump and Elon Musk actually want to do this, and that's what's causing the real uproar.
Yeah, that's the hypocrisy because of those presidents. Clinton and Obama actually were, at the forefront, at least in the rhetoric, as far as cleaning up government. Clinton was a funny administration because his hands were forced, with the Republican Congress and Republican Revolution. And all of a sudden, this Democrats, we're going to change welfare as we know it. But Obama wanted a version of DOGE as well, or so he said. And so the media were all on board. But now when it really is happening, and what's at the meat of this stuff is that media organizations, what we saw, you saw those contracts with Politico and in other organizations and Democrat officials and maybe some Republicans, we're going to see this cycle of this where the money train goes and where it ends up. And that's what people are afraid of right now. And I think that's a lot of the pushback.
And Bobby, just about 20 seconds. I want to ask you about this, though. Of course, now with all the money that's being saved by DOGE, there's now reports that maybe all of us could get a $5,000 check in the mail. Now, of course, Speaker Johnson saying, okay, not so fast. We need to be fiscally responsible. We need to pay off the credit card, if you will. Do you think there's any shot that any of us see that $5,000?
I actually do.
Okay.
I think I know he said, hey, wait just a second. Over there at CPAC, I believe. And so I do think this is will do, because it's good politics. You know, it's like getting that tax refund, except, hey, here's money that we didn't waste. You know, here's money of yours that we didn't spend, and we want to give it back to you. And it just shows, yeah, we've got to pay down this debt, and there's another 20% that would go to the debt, go back to the Treasury. But to show the American people that we're actually delivering for them, I think is great.
I mean, I hope you're right. I would love that $5,000 check.
I think
yes,
we'll see
please. Okay. Bobby Eberle, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So joining us now is Republican strategist and chairman of the Fort Bend County Republican Party, Bobby Eberle, and former Trump campaign aide and author of Wicked Game, Rick Gates. All right, Rick, you know the president. He was famous, made famous. You're fired. And in the last few weeks, I mean, this administration's been open, honest, saying you should justify your job, you should justify spending overseas, and if not, bye.
Yeah, I think he's doing what he said he's going to do, and it's the promises that he made to change government are happening, and I think it's taking Washington by storm. I was just there over the last 5 days for the governors' conferences and a host of other events going on in D.C., and the city is just still electric. There's so much energy with the idea that there's going to be continuous change at the federal level. There's going to continue being a rooting out of all the wasteful spending, and he's not going to stop. And I think a lot of people in D.C. saw maybe this as a week event, maybe a month event, but they're going to, President Trump is going to continue delivering on this promise. And it's an important promise, especially as we now go into the budget cycle with the House and the Senate taking up their budget bills. This is going to be very critical to showing the American people how President Trump can stop the wasteful spending and the fraud and abuse that's been going on in our government for years. So it's interesting to watch. There's going to be a lot more, to come. I think, Elon is putting out a ton of great ideas. Maybe not everybody's embracing them, but I think it's still going to lead that change. They're taking a corporate approach, and you're seeing the positive impact it's having now.
And I think it's important to note that we never want to see anyone lose their jobs. But we're talking, Bobby, about federal jobs, and they can't show their purpose to this new administration. And many who haven't even been working full time since COVID. Some of these office buildings are completely empty for years. A lot of workers have not been pulling their weight. That's what this is about. It's about government efficiency. DOGE. What do you make of the latest group now set to lose their jobs?
Well, this is what resonates with the American people, right? It's just, hey, they got to get up. They got to go to work. They work, 8 to 5 or longer, on some jobs. I mean, just long, hard hours. And to see, a government building where 400 might show up out of 8,000. This is literally, some of these buildings are, like you said, vacant. It just doesn't, that concept of the federal government being disconnected, not responsive to the people, doing their own thing, their own kind of establishment, this ruling class, that is everything that Trump said he would fight. And that's why the American people, gravitated to it. And I agree, there's this electricity, there's this momentum, when Javier Milei gives the chainsaw to Elon Musk, this isn't going away. This is something that is real, and there's going to be more coming.
Yeah, Rick, you and I worked together for years, and before we got into national politics, I worked in state and local politics, where you actually get credit from voters for saying, I cut the number of government workers, or I delivered a project at less cost, not more cost. Why is this just foreign to the federal government?
Because it's never happened. And this is not a one-term, president that's done this. We are talking about decades in the making of kind of this idea that this Washington bureaucracy runs everything. Americans don't know what's going on. I mean, look just how much information. And Mark, even people like us that have been in government, I am just blown away by what they are discovering and what they are learning about how government spending has worked, where that money has gone, the wasteful ways that it's been spending. And look, I think this is going to have Another effect at the state level, and talking to a number of the governors this weekend, they're all jazzed up about DOGE. They're going back to their states, and they already have. You look at, Indiana, Governor Braun, how he has restructured his state government, consolidating a lot of the agencies that weren't working effectively. I think it's having a domino effect all across the nation. And I think that American people are really excited to see what is going to be done to change government at the federal and local levels.
Yeah, and as we started off this hour, we said promises made, promises kept. This president has made his priorities very, very clear on the campaign trail and now in his first 5 weeks of this presidency, and that includes protecting women's sports. Take a listen to this exchange he had over the issue with Maine's governor.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Well, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Oh, just when I thought it couldn't get any better, he doubled down. I think my favorite line in the whole thing was, we are the federal law. It's us. It's me. Thank you very much. What do you make of that exchange, Bobby?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome to me. I always go back to movie references, so that was like Emperor Palpatine. I am the Senate. You never know what Trump's gonna say, but it's just classic. It's just he took her on head to head, and he's right. I mean, these again are these 80-20 issues, 90-10 issues that they are really focusing on in this administration that resonate with the American people. And she's just called out, and there's nothing you can do about it. No one wants men in women's locker rooms, on their sports teams, in their restrooms. It's just common sense. And I don't know how he does it with a straight face, but I'd be cracking up saying some of these things, but he delivers it, and it's just great to watch.
It's not like we're going to have a big change in the sports world. I can't think of one sport where Maine is any good. So
yeah.
not a lot of loss there. So, Rick, real quickly before we go, I got to get you to weigh on this. So our favorite, commentators to tell us what Republicans really are thinking at MSNBC, well, they're making some programming changes. So Joy Reid out as they continue to overhaul under the new presidential administration, and pretty outspoken critic. And now, what do you think the future holds for Joyless Reid?
Yeah, I don't think the future is very good. And I think, this is a reaction, of the embassy and the networks, understanding that people like that, their messages, their tone, it doesn't resonate with the American people. And if anything, it's a vindication by a lot of people out there that were criticizing her for her inflammatory and dangerous rhetoric. It doesn't have a place in our society. And I think, the American people and the networks especially saw that and got rid of her, and good riddance.
All right. Good riddance. Good stuff. Bobby, Rick, thank you both so much.
All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.